Some people love to say that we live in the age of ultimate freedom. You can work from anywhere, travel with just a laptop, choose your clients, build your own brand. You can quit the office, move to another country, and call yourself independent. It all sounds like progress, and in many ways it is. We have more tools, more opportunities, and more options than any generation before us. But behind all that freedom, something just feels off. Because if we're really so free, why does it still feel like someone else is in charge? Most of us live inside invisible systems we don't control. Platforms decide if we get seen, if we get paid, if we still exist online tomorrow. The algorithm chooses which posts rise and which vanish. The app decides whether your account is performing. The dashboard gives you a number, and that number decides your worth. There's no boss shouting orders, no manager standing over your desk. Instead, there's a calm, polished interface telling you that your reach has dropped by 47% this week.
And you believe it, because what else can you do? You don't own the stage. You're just renting a corner of it. They call it flexibility, but it's really a quiet kind of control. The system doesn't directly command you, it shapes you instead. It nudges you to post more, engage more, optimize more, until your freedom starts to look a lot like obedience. We used to think technology would break the old hierarchies, that the internet would finally make everyone equal. Instead, it built new ones, softer, smarter, more invisible. And the scariest part? They don't need force anymore, just our attention. Every system needs someone at the top. In the old world, it was kings, landlords, and factory owners. In the new world, it's platforms. Google, Meta, Amazon, Apple, these are the new lords of the digital land. They don't own people, they own the infrastructure. The roads, the marketplaces, the attention spans, everything we do online passes through their gates.
We upload our work, our thoughts, our time, and in return, they give us visibility. Not ownership, just access. Like tenants paying rent, we depend on their goodwill and their ever-changing rules. One update can make a business disappear overnight. One algorithm tweak can silence thousands of creators. One policy change can cut off your income with a single email that begins with, "We've updated our terms of service." The old landlords charged money. The new ones charge visibility. And the rent is paid in data, content, and constant engagement. We like to think we're the users, but the truth is, we're the product. And the product is never in control of the shelf. This isn't science fiction, it's everyday life. Every click, every search, every upload passes through a private empire that no one elected and no one can question. They don't shout, they don't threaten, they just optimize.
And in that quiet optimization, a new kind of power has already replaced the old. Every empire needs workers. In the digital one, that's us. We create the content, write the code, design the products, run the ads, fill the feeds. Every scroll, every video, every blog post, it all comes from millions of people working for themselves, but feeding the same few platforms. On paper, we're independent. We choose our hours, our clients, our style. But the reality is much smaller. Our freedom exists inside the borders drawn by someone else's algorithm. You don't own your audience. The platform does. You don't control your income. The algorithm does. You don't even control your reputation. A single report or policy update can erase it. So we work harder, we post more,
We try to please the invisible system that decides whether our next project gets seen or ignored. It's not slavery, but it's not freedom either. It's dependence dressed up as opportunity. The strange part is that no one forces us to stay. We stay because there's nowhere else to go. Every platform looks different, but they all play the same game: engagement, growth, monetization. The same rules, the same pressure, just a different logo on the login screen. We've built our lives on land we don't own. Digital land, rented from invisible landlords. And the rent keeps going up, not in money, but in effort. Post more, stream longer, reply faster, stay relevant. That's the modern tax for existing online.
It's not chains that hold us, it's the fear of disappearing. In every society, there's something that decides what's right and what's wrong. It used to be religion. Then it was law. Now it's the algorithm. Algorithms don't argue. They don't explain. They just calculate. A few lines of code can decide who gets promoted, who gets paid, who disappears. No trial, no discussion, no appeal. Just a quiet shift in visibility. That's the new justice system of the digital world. Instant, automatic, and completely invisible. One mistake, one misunderstood post, one unlucky keyword, and you're gone. Not banned, just invisible. Hidden from feeds, pushed to the bottom, silently erased. And no one takes responsibility. If you ask support why, they'll say, "Our system detected unusual activity." That's it. Case closed. The law of algorithms is simple. If it performs well, it's good. If it performs badly, it's wrong. Morality becomes metrics. Truth becomes engagement. The algorithm doesn't care what's real, it cares what keeps people scrolling. And when engagement becomes the only measure of value, even honesty starts to compete with entertainment. We're told it's neutral, that the system has no bias. But neutrality is just another form of control, because what you can't see, you can't fight. No police, no prisons, no protests, just quiet deletion. And that silence feels like peace until it happens to you. In the old world, you paid rent with money. In the new one, you pay with attention. Every like, every comment, every click, it's all part of the currency. The more you give, the more the system rewards you, or at least makes you think it does. But the reward isn't ownership, it's visibility, temporary, unstable, addictive. We compete for it because visibility feels like proof we exist. When the screen goes quiet, it feels like fading away. So we post again, reply again, refresh again. Not because we enjoy it, but because the algorithm taught us to fear silence. That's the hidden cost of being seen. You don't lose money. You lose hours, focus, calm. You start living in reaction mode, chasing numbers that reset every day. And somewhere along the way, we stopped creating for people and started performing for the machine. We shape our words to fit the trend, our thoughts to fit the format, our faces to fit the feed. We call it content, but it's really fuel. It burns fast, and when it's gone, you need to make more. Because the system is always hungry, and attention never lasts. That's the modern version of rent. Keep producing, keep engaging, keep feeding the platform. Or disappear. And the strangest part, most of us do it willingly. We tell ourselves it's opportunity, but it feels more like service, not forced labor, just endless maintenance of our digital selves. Every system ends up with layers. The digital one is no different. It just hides them better.
At the top are the platform owners. They don't create, they don't post, they don't hustle. They build the tools, collect the data, and take a small cut from every single transaction. It doesn't matter who wins below, because the house always wins. Below them are the rest of us, the so-called creators, partners, freelancers. We build the content, we fill the timelines, we keep the feeds alive. We're told we're part of the same ecosystem, but we don't share the same air. When the system grows, the owners get rich. When it crashes, the users start over. That's the new class divide. Not about talent or effort, but about ownership. It's not a conspiracy, it's math. Platforms don't need to exploit people directly. They just design environments where everyone competes for limited visibility. And while we compete, they accumulate. The result is a quiet pyramid that no one calls by name. At the top, those who own the code.
In the middle, those who manage the code. At the bottom, everyone else, building digital castles they'll never live in. The irony is that most people don't even see the hierarchy anymore. It's hidden behind friendly interfaces, colorful dashboards, and motivational slogans about community. The smartest systems don't need to force obedience. They make it comfortable. People don't rebel when life feels easy. And the digital world is designed to feel easy. One login, one click, one endless scroll. Everything works, everything flows. You don't own anything, but you have access to everything. That's how control hides, not in fear, but in convenience. We stopped asking how things work, who profits, who decides. We just tap agree and move on. We trade privacy for comfort, autonomy for speed, ownership for access, and we call it progress. The platforms learn something the old kings never did. You don't have to fight people if you can keep them entertained. No need for walls or weapons, just notifications. We built a life inside this loop of ease. Food arrives with a swipe, work happens in the cloud. Everything is so simple, so efficient, that asking questions almost feels impolite. And that's the real genius of it, the comfort trap. You don't feel like a servant because you're not suffering. You feel like a participant, a customer, a creator. You feel in control until one day the system changes a rule and you realize you were never holding the wheel. Freedom didn't disappear. It just got redesigned to look like convenience. We may not own the platforms, but that doesn't mean we have nothing left. There are still a few things the system can't rent out, at least not yet. We can own our connections, real ones. The people who follow us not because the algorithm recommended it, but because something we said actually mattered to them. A small circle that survives outside the feed is worth more than 1 million silent followers who disappear with one update. We can own our skills. Platforms rise and fall, tools change, but the ability to think, write, build, and adapt still belongs to us. The trick is to keep learning in ways that don't depend on someone else's dashboard.
We can own our time. Not all of it. The system will always take a piece. But the moments we protect from constant reaction, time spent thinking, walking, creating without the pressure to post, that's the only kind of time that feels real anymore. And maybe most importantly, We can own our voice. The tone, the honesty, the small signature that no algorithm can fake. That's the only part of our digital selves that still feels human. No one's coming to save us from the platforms, but we can make small exits, little acts of independence that add up. Save your work. Back it up. Build your email list. Talk to people directly. Don't let your whole life depend on someone else's login page.
Freedom in this world isn't about escaping the system. It's about remembering which parts of you it still can't touch. There won't be a big moment when the system collapses. No revolution, no banners, no heroes. Technofeudalism doesn't fall that way. It just fades, one person at a time, when we stop feeding it. Rebellion now is quiet. It's turning off notifications for a day. It's writing something because you mean it, not because it performs well. It's refusing to measure your worth in clicks and reach. It's the choice to be a person again, not a product.
The system runs on attention, and attention runs on fear. Fear of missing out, of falling behind, of disappearing. The only real way to fight it is to stop being afraid. To step back, even a little, and remember that life still exists without an audience. Maybe that's where freedom begins now. Not in escape, but in awareness. Not in deleting everything, but in deciding what deserves to stay. Not in shouting louder, but in speaking slower. Technofeudalism is already here, but so are we. And as long as we still have the ability to pause, to think, to choose, it hasn't won yet. Think about it. Just think about it.